Good night, everyone. Good night on a kind of rainy Tuesday night. You're tuned into Kyrie FM 93.1. Keeping It Real, episode number 11, March of Shame. Today is Tuesday, the 28th day of August, 2018, and I'm Norbert Williams with you. In the studio tonight, after almost 4 weeks of an absence on Keeping It Real, we have the man Champagne. And, I'm a little disappointed tonight, folks. Yesterday, I was thinking of coming in here and presenting as usual, Keeping It Real. And I was wondering about my buddy here, Champagne. And, recently we had a little back and forth in the studio about him being a little discombobulated since his trip to Martinique. But his trip to Martinique, and I don't know how much detail you got, but Champagne is just fresh back from Cuba. Now, based on what I knew before and what I understand now, Champagne has come back with some bionics.
Bionics, huh?
So, my partner has some new parts. Some bionics. Usually, folks, he drives up to the studio, but tonight he ran up Mondidon. He beat Steve Austin, the $6 million man. I don't know how many millions he's worth now, but it's nice to see Champagne back. I was rather disappointed when I was speaking to Mr. Ellis earlier today. I was about to inquire about Champagne, and I heard that the man was on air last night in the studio, and I didn't even know. I didn't even know. So, I feel that all of my concern for my, buddy on the air went to waste, and nobody cares. They both laughing at me. But, that's all right. That's okay. I still brought you something to drink.
You
so
did?
Yes.
Well, I noticed he has a Cuban haircut. Do you notice that?
It's a cute hair. It looks a little crisp. A little crisp. Time to relax. The brother has rejuvenated.
And listen, now, I don't want you to give the public the impression that because you just said I was in Martinique and then I
But you were, weren't you?
Yes. But
Okay.
the impression that's out there is like I was on a joyride.
But when you went,
I was not on a joyride.
but wait, when you went to Martinique, you didn't come back looking like this. I mean, it's something special
it has-
hit you well
no,
in
it has to
Cuba.
do-
Bionics.
No, it has to do with the Cuban people. Very, very remarkable people. Very nice, loving people.
Yeah?
It had to do with them. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
You, you think so?
But we'll
You're
go
not
to
sure.
the-
You just think.
No, I know that's what it is.
Okay.
I know that one. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you for having me back in the studio on a Tuesday night.
I was thinking one more week. I was thinking of replacing you.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You see that? See how quick people could just...
No,
forget all
well,
about-
but when you come in like that and you sneak into the country,
Yeah.
you sneak into the country.
Well, I must let you know that last night we had a beautiful program.
Well, I don't know about that.
Like
Nobody called me. I really don't
Yeah.
care. Should I care?
Anyway,
We promoted you last night.
You
as
did.
well.
Exactly.
To what rank?
well, A plus. A plus. That's a general. Anyway, my friend, I'm happy to be back. Let me touch you again.
Yeah.
Let me give you a handshake. And my buddy over here.
All right.
And St.
That's
Lucia,
right.
I'm so happy to be back in the studios of Kyrie FM on the program Keeping It Real. It's all yours,
right.
my brother.
All right, good. The lines at Kyrie FM tonight are 456-0931, 456-0931. It's gonna be hot, and I know the satellites are listening already because the promos went out this afternoon. And we appreciate everybody's call. If you talk nonsense, we're gonna flush you down the toilet. But we appreciate everybody's call because, everybody has an opinion. We all live here.
I have a new feature. You want to hear it?
What's that? Great.
Sounds like when you're at the bank.
Great.
Next, please.
Wrong.
Round.
Wrong one.
That's for when I slap around Champagne a bit inside here, right?
And when you hear the bell, it's time to go to your corner.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the wrong one.
Right.
That's all right.
Yes. So, folks, it's been a rather interesting first few days, or 2 days. 2 days. Oh, today's Tuesday, right? I'm getting a little confused on the day. Nowadays, almost every day begins to look the same. But it's rather peculiar, when you pay attention to things, or at least are observant. And today, I was rather amused, if you will, at the statements from a press conference that was held today by the St. Lucia Labour Party. It never ceases to amaze me at what you will hear coming from that side of the fence. Just when you think that it can't get any worse or ridiculous, it just becomes ridiculouser and ridiculouser. If I'm to just, well, there is right now, there is after tonight, ridiculouser and ridiculouser. And we've heard since last week about the scheduling of a march
There's a march?
March. We're coming up to September, but they're going back in time.
A march when? Today? Tomorrow?
Whenever.
Tomorrow?
Maybe next 10 years.
You serious?
But they have a march, and somebody messaged me and said, "Good night." That's not a word. So good evening to you in Atlanta, Georgia, but you know exactly what I mean.
Ridiculous.
According to some of our friends. Well, I say it already. I said it already. But I'll get to that. That's the highlight of the night. But there's another highlight. I don't know if you can have two highlights. So which one's eclipsing the other, because they're just as ridiculous. One's worse than the other. But today I was a little bit amused and saddened and just all discombobulated at a press conference by the St. Lucia Labour Party, and with special comments by Dr. Ernest Hilaire. Let me get the right titles here, because even though I'm a little miffed.
They love it though, the title.
But no, you gotta pay your respects. Yeah. I'm not that kind of person who goes about, somebody says I'm locked in from Brooklyn, New York. Well, good night to you.
Yes.
In the hood,
Yes,
in
sir.
Brooklyn, someplace that Champagne knows very well. Flatbush,
In my
Flatbush,
younger days,
Eastern
I
Parkway.
remember, yeah.
What? Next week Thursday is Labor Day. Next week Tuesday. Hey, let me get it right. First Monday in September. Next week Monday is Labor Day.
First Monday.
And I'm not going to be there for that. You think I could make it?
I don't know.
I think there's still flights going out of here. And I don't want to leave on Sunday. The weekend, maybe leave Thursday. So I got 2 more days. Maybe I'll be out of here on Thursday and take in some of the action. It's kind of like the last lap for the summer.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. One Labor Day I was on the Parkway and it was blazing hot.
Right.
And everybody in their shorts and T-shirts, and all of a sudden this wind came from somewhere. And about 5 o'clock, Champagne,
Right.
the temperature just went down. And that's the time most people wait, when most of the bands have passed, so they could jump and go to their last lap parties. Champagne, and the temperature went down like a rock.
Yeah.
Man, I was trembling in no time.
Yeah, boy.
And let me tell you something. If you saw people running away from Eastern Parkway trying to get away, get home.
Because they were not dressed properly. Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
But one of the experiences of life. But anyway, folks, today, the SLP conference, Dr. Ernest Hilaire had a statement to make on the whole story of what's happening with the Black Bay lands and this is, I would like you to pay particular attention to what he says. Dr. Ernest Hilaire.
The minister says there was no dispute. What the government was trying to do was get back the land which was sold by the SLP 4 days before the elections. I won't say much on this, except to share with you a document issued by the Government Land Registry yesterday, August 27, 2018. It shows that the land was sold on September 11th, 2017. So, Honorable Minister, was elections held on September 15th, 2017? Minister, as the children say, liar, liar, pants on fire. The land registry document shows that the land was sold by the United Workers' Party government in September 2017.
Okay, folks. Now, before I go anywhere, I'd just like to, one of my pet peeves is bad pronunciation. And can somebody out there please, just, as a little courtesy from me, just bringing it out there, please advise Dr. Ernest Hilaire that the month that he's referring to is September, that it has a P and not a C. It's not September. Dr. Ernest Hilaire, it's September. Now, folks, I watched this press conference online. I watched this. Yeah, what's that, Champion?
I don't interrupt you too.
Yeah, you could come on in.
But I thought I heard two separate dates. One said September 11th and the other one said September 15th.
I heard that as well. But in the big scheme of things, it doesn't really.
matter.
Maybe he
Okay.
made a mistake. I'm not going to lash him
I
for
picked
that.
up. It's the first time I'm hearing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I'm not going to lash him for that.
All right, because I
But
heard
I'm going to lash him for the September.
The sect-
It's September. I think at that stage they you should be able to pronounce
Especially
that
with the
properly.
title.
Yeah.
Especially with the title.
Yeah,
You have to leave that for me.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Okay.
Right. Okay. He was waving about this document, his bravado, and found at the government land registry, and this is proof that the land was sold by the government of St. Lucia in September. Yeah, that's September.
Yeah.
2017. But I think Dr. Ernest Hilaire knows darned well that this means absolutely nothing in the big scheme of things, at least in this instance. And folks, let me just slow it down a little bit and just reason with you. Okay? Many of you out there have purchased property before. You've purchased land. You've purchased a house. Let's just stick with land. Okay, makes everything simpler, and it relates to this instance. When you purchase land, you go to the landowner or the real estate company or whoever it is, and you haggle. You say, "I'll give you 15,000 for that, 100,000, whatever it is," and they say, "Well, or maybe $20 a square foot, $15 a square foot." You business,
Bargain.
right? Whether it's that way or whether it's a friend or whatever, you come to an agreement, right? You come to an agreement, and then you decide in that agreement between the two of you, whether it's written, whether it's verbal, that XYZ amount is going to be exchanged for that property, right? Very often you can purchase property on terms. Every month, if you have a good friend, I give you $1,000 until you pay off the land. Then, and only then, do you get the property in your name. The deed of sale, you get title, right? So in this brilliant, mind-boggling show of excellence, Dr. Ernest Hilaire waves about, as he likes to do, I have the document here, you know, putting it in front of the TV cameras, that this United Workers' Party government sold the land to Range Development in September last year, 2017. Play that again for me, please, because I like folks to hear it. Now that I've ambled on, they can get a little.
The minister says there was no dispute. What the government was trying to do was get back the land which was sold by the SLP 4 days before the elections. I won't say much on this.
Yeah, you won't say much, eh? I wonder
to
why.
share with you a document issued by the Government Land Registry
And there is
yesterday,
the deed.
August 27, 2018. It shows that the land was sold on September 11th, 2017.
Pay attention to the 2 dates. Huh?
So, Honorable Minister, was elections held on September 15th, 2017? Minister, as the children say, liar, liar, pants on fire. The land registry document shows that the land was sold by the United Workers' Party government in September 2017.
Okay, folks. Now, Dr. Ernest Hilaire was waving around this document. A deed of sale. In fact, the SLP even posted it on their Facebook page. Deed of sale representing the government of St. Lucia. It's absolutely authentic. There's nothing wrong with it. But in the whole scheme of things, folks, I have a few questions to ask Dr. Hilaire. Since he's producing this as some sort of smoking gun, I'd like to ask Dr. Hilaire a few questions, because it's rather strange that the only thing he presented was just that. So, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, who negotiated the terms of the agreement, and what were those terms? Dr. Hilaire, who signed the agreement? Because before you have a deed of sale, there has to be an agreement. Dr. Ernest Hilaire, were you there? Were you there, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, when the agreement was signed? And if you were not there, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, who was there? Because if you bandying around this document, you must have some information that most of us don't. Because you didn't just get that document out of the sky. You have some background information, don't you? Why don't you share it with us, Dr. Hilaire? Dr. Ernest Hilaire, when was the agreement signed? These are questions you didn't answer today, and you didn't volunteer any answers. Dr. Ernest Hilaire, is this agreement in writing or was it verbal? Dr. Ernest Hilaire, was the state of St. Lucia then obligated as a result of that agreement to honor it, whichever government was in office? Dr. Ernest Hilaire, did this government just wake up one morning last year and suddenly decide to deed the Black Bay lands to Range Development? Dr. Ernest Hilaire, wouldn't the deed of sale, which you flapped so bold-facedly in front of the cameras today, have to be a product of an initial agreement? Dr. Ernest Hilaire, I know you're listening. I know they already called you and say that your name is being mentioned tonight. 456-0931. Since you are so willing to give this information to the people, let's give them all of the information. Call now, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, and you can answer to the people of St. Lucia these questions that I'm asking you here. But I have some more. Dr. Ernest Hilaire, yes, you. Are you trying to mama guy the people of St. Lucia? That's what I want to know, Dr. Ernest Hilaire. Are you attempting, or are you insulting the intelligence of St. Lucians by deflecting from the real issue? Because you were asked a particular question by a reporter this morning at the news conference that you called. Now, when you call a news conference, one would expect that you would be willing and able and intending to answer the questions asked because you have credible evidence. Dr. Ernest Hilaire, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, be very careful because what you are embarking upon may very well destroy one of your very own parliamentary colleagues, Dr. Ernest Hilaire. Call us now, 456-0931. You know, I can't understand this. I can't understand this. Because to only flap about the deed of sale is in essence trying to hoodwink the people of St. Lucia. Because you cannot get a deed of sale unless you have an agreement for the exchange of property or whatever it is, so that the deed of sale says, yes, this property, this house, this land, this whatever it is, belongs to XYZ person or XYZ company. So what transaction, what agreement, what happened to compel the government of St. Lucia to have no choice but to deed this property to range development? That is the question. And Dr. Ernest Hilaire has failed to provide that information. And I think he did so deliberately. Because putting out the deed says nothing. For example, your mother, your father, somebody you met 100 years ago, could write out in their will, my property when Champagne gets to 25 years of age will go to Champagne, or to Lionel Ellis. Will go to Lionel Ellis. Or to Norbert Williams.
It might be the reverse.
Or your mother, your father, your grandmother could write it in their will.
Mm-hmm.
Now that will can be dated 20 years ago. Or that promise, whatever it is, to transfer property to you could have been written 20 years ago. It would have been authenticated by the lawyers, would have been registered, and the date and stamp on that would say 2008, 1998. But that doesn't mean anything until the conditions of that agreement are met and the property is now over to you in your name, and that is when you get a deed of sale. But just come in and say, I have a deed of sale for this property, does not say anything about the agreement which was made to get you that property. You understand what I'm saying? So, Dr. Ernest Hilaire is coming forth with not even a half-truth in this instance. He's coming forward with a tenth of the truth. So, Dr. Ernest Hilaire and the satellites that are listening out there, transmit, retransmit, and pass it on. Because we'd like you to call, since you're so enthusiastic about presenting evidence. Give us a call, 456-0931. And those of you out there who'd like to contribute to the show as well, and you don't want to call, or you can't call, if you're in South Africa, or you're in London, England, or wherever, you want to get away from those long-distance charges, you can email us at info@keepingitreal.lc. info@keepingitreal.lc. Or you can give us a call, 456-0931. Hey, whilst you were gone, Champagne, we also have a Facebook page.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But you know, can I say something?
Yeah.
You know what is interesting? Although you have already explained everything relating to that sale of that property, but I do not believe that anyone could just sell, especially that massive piece of property, in just a couple of days. There has to be an arrangement leading up to the actual sale, right? So there's my question. who made the arrangements of that sale
Well,
of that property?
well, that's what
You want
Dr.
Hilaire
Ernest Hilaire
to answer.
has to answer to
Exactly.
us.
You know?
Give us the full story.
The full story.
Don't
Not
mess
just-
about.
yeah.
Don't come there with these half truths
Yeah.
and suggesting it's the UWP government.
Sold it, yeah.
With all of this,
Yeah,
that is the
yeah.
UWP government,
Yeah.
according to somebody as Sondong Grakio.
Yeah, because they had to have some arrangements before the actual sale.
Well,
Okay, so who made those arrangements?
Hmm.
That's the question. Anyway, go ahead.
you
my
know,
brother.
there's this song by Lord Nelson. You know, it's very interesting to listen to that. Sometimes you have to go into the past to deal with, current, and I'm sure some of us remember that. Let's hear that.
I know some of you wouldn't believe me, but if a lie asks me good friend Mackie, it was a big lying competition to see who they will crown as lion champion. Liars from all parts of the West Indies, big shot liars from all them foreign countries. From a feel about 1,000 or so entry in 2 days, he boiled down and leave just 3. I had me eye on liar the lion, because I know he does come with some good ones. But they had a younger fella named Debo, come from some village there in Tobago. He say his father is Tobago's best fisherman. Catch a fish a mile wide, 80 feet in span. He had to tie it on the boat and swim back to land to get his brother Eric to give him a hand. You hear lie?
You hear lie? That is lie. Lie. You hear lie? Teacher Pussy say, to hell as soon as you die.
I think these guys care whether they go to hell or not.
Check it out. Liar the lion, he laughed till he sweat. He said, Mr. Depot, ain't say nothing yet. If you really want to hear about fishing, let me blow your mind. Now listen to something. When you're talking about fish, you just hit the spot. I was hoping you did believe it or not. The fish your father caught, to you it was great. But it's them small fish my father does use for bait. Lion went ahead.
And you have the nerve to call Minister Dominic Fedee and say, liar, liar, pants on fire. Can you believe the deliberate omission of the most important facts?
But here's my thing, because maybe the guy's colleagues are trying to let him drown himself because he was not in government, right? So the arrangement of the sale of that property, probably they didn't give him the facts. I'm just saying. You know.
Well, I don't know, man. Whoever it is, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, apparently, in my opinion,
Yeah.
it seems to me that he knows much more than he's saying, because
Exactly.
to get the deed of sale
That's right.
and say that, I mean, hold on. Let's give people props, okay?
He read the book, but he didn't. He read the cover,
No,
but he
no,
didn't
no,
read
no,
the book.
no, no,
The
no,
title, the
no.
book title.
Let's give the man his props, okay? At this stage in the game, Dr. Ernest Hilaire must know that to have a deed of sale, there was previous action,
Of course.
that there had to have been an agreement.
Yes.
So all I'm asking of Dr. Ernest Hilaire, if you don't want to call 4560931, email us at info@keepingitreal.lc, info at keepingitreal, REAL.LC, folks. We're waiting for that email, or we're waiting for the call, or some representative of his. You call, and let's get it on tonight. And we could go through some of those questions that I popped off there for you earlier, and we could get this resolved for the people of St. Lucia rather easily. But I'm putting it to you. How much you want to bet tonight, champion? I'm putting 25 cents on the table.
Right.
That Dr. Ernest Hilaire will not call tonight.
I know that.
No, how you know that? You're a guy there?
The guy will never call.
No, come on.
This guy.
How you mean he
You
won't
see,
call?
the guys only want the negative parts that the St. Lucian public might pay interest to, so they don't want to give them the full story, the full details. He's not going to tell them who the agreement was, who signed the agreements and who came up with the arrangements of the sale of the property. But he's going to come on with that document stating it was sold
The
by
government.
the government.
But what tied the government's hands
exactly.
to do that?
Exactly.
You see? What tied? Because lots of things can happen, whether it's one government or the other.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And the next person in line, because it's an agreement and it's binding,
That's right.
you have
No
to.
choice.
You have no
You have no
choice.
choice.
But then again, but you see, I'm not gonna cry. You can't gonna make me cry on mic, man. You
Yeah.
can't do this kind of thing to us.
Yeah. Guys.
I can't take it anymore. There are agreements that are binding. You do certain things as a government that the other government is obligated. The law, the terms of business, that sort of thing.
They must see it through.
The government must be seen as honoring its agreements, as honoring, the decisions that it makes with investors, with business people, with, all and sundry. And it seems rather funny to me that this government now has taken certain measures, and the opposition now, so ironically, oh my gosh, have said now that when they get back in power, in office, that they will reverse those things.
Can you imagine that? This that's laughable. Yeah, man.
I mean, some of this nonsense that is being fed to the people of St. Lucia is so ludicrous. And the thing is that the worst part of it is that they expect and they know that so many people out there are going to drink that Kool-Aid without thinking about it. And I try to encourage people. Listen to what is being said. Do your own research. I don't care who says what to me. And particularly when nowadays with the internet, with fake news all over the place. I mean, some of the crap, that's the only way I can describe it, that some people continue to forward to me via WhatsApp, via other social media outlets. And people whom you would expect better from. I mean, some stupid nonsense that any fifth grader, they say, are you smart as a fifth grader or whatever? Any kid on reading it the first time, I mean, people don't think, would say something's wrong with this. You don't even have to know anything. Just, hey, something's not right about this. Especially when it says forward, right away, send it right away to all your friends. That should be a sign. When nonsense is forwarded to you, and say, I haven't heard this on the news. I haven't heard this anywhere else. Do you think if it was real news that you'd be getting it from somebody who's just, and when you get it from that person, it's forwarded, Because now, especially on WhatsApp, what they've done to combat a lot of this fake news so that you don't believe that it's coming initially from a credible source that you may know. At the top of it now says forwarded. So you know that this is a story that has come down the chain.
Right.
So that in itself, folks, is not just there for good looks. Should alert you, say, whoa, look at this some more. And we need to be a little more circumspect, a little more responsible. because a lot of the nonsense that's going on there on Facebook, and all the time, regardless of what's going on, it's the same people forwarding the same nonsense, the same satellites, the same people, the same type of message. Can't you all figure it out yet? You know, can't you figure it out yet? So, folks, in this instance here, I want to throw out the challenge again to Dr. Ernest Hilaire. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Keeping It Real.
Than to see that paradise taken away in 2017.
Well, welcome back, folks. This is episode number 11. Can you believe we're on 11 now, Champagne? You left somewhere around episode number 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 7. I'll keep you informed on that.
Yeah, it's amazing how time flies. It's 11 weeks.
You know what happened to you? I kept sending you the links to the archive shows and everything, but it's like you were lost in space in Cuba.
No, you know.
What happened to the Wi-Fi? You said you'd get Wi-Fi.
No, the hospital I was staying at, there was no Wi-Fi.
But what about the parks or elsewhere?
There was a park I could have gone to, but you know, I had the surgery, so I really couldn't go.
Well, you
down
had
there.
bionics. What was the problem?
I couldn't go down there.
See, you missed all the action last week, Tuesday,
Yeah, I heard you had a
with the
Tuesday
the
Tuesday.
earthquake.
Oh yeah, myself and Brother Ellis, we spoke about that in some regard last night on our program.
Yeah.
But let me not stray off your program.
No,
You know,
you're not
And
straying.
since you're talking about what happened last week, I want to tell you last night we got an apology from the gentleman who called last week.
Yeah.
And we welcome him back heartily. To the
Yeah, of
program.
course, the
Yeah,
Keeping It
and I
Real
hope he
family.
calls tonight
He
to
can call.
say hello. See,
And
you know.
I was so pleased with the gentleman because only men do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Could acknowledge that.
Oh, now you're looking for trouble with the women.
No. No, the guy.
You think the bionic's gonna save you
No,
now?
Listen, the guy called last Tuesday and he had a little heated stuff, you had back and forth, and he called last night to say, he apologized, and I really like that. That was very, very nice to hear from him. Very
Yeah.
good.
all right. Interesting subject tonight. again.
So now we moving back to move forward. Another comedy show again. Some people not gonna like that, but that's how I see it. It's becoming so ridiculous. And like I said earlier, hey, Atlanta, Georgia, it's becoming ridiculouser and ridiculouser by the day. I'll tell you what I think there, Uncle Ellis and Champagne, with the St. Lucia Labour Party. I mean, they're all elected opposition, but a lot of people say, oh, they do good in opposition. Let me tell you something. Opposition doesn't mean that you become a mindless drone and you just make noise for making noise sake and do everything to oppose them. We will not let them govern, or there will be no peace.
Yeah.
Over my dead body.
Yeah.
Well, like I was saying whilst you were away, it seems very peculiar, alarming even, suspicious, that almost every reference the St. Lucia Labour Party makes in opposition to anything always borders on the insinuation, on the inference, on the suggestion of some type of violence, of some type of disruption. Why?
And nothing good comes out of them when they're in opposition, even when they're in government as well. So.
No, but I want to know why does everything always have to border on the edge of violence, of disruption, of aggression?
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to reach out to their people in that way.
But where is that coming from? But we talk about crime so much in St. Lucia.
Yeah.
We talk about conflict resolution. And it seems like, based on their language, that they seem to lack that dispute resolution capability. Moses Jean-Baptiste, there has to be a revolution. Yeah, you can come on. Yeah. You can argue and say, well, it wasn't literal. But why is it that all the references have to be in some halikase kind of...
Violence kind of.
Why?
Yeah.
That's what I want St. Lucians to ask. Why?
That's a relevant.
There's a revolution. There'll be no peace over my dead body.
Yeah. taking our country
you know,
back.
taking our country back.
Yeah.
You know, and then sabotage.
Yeah.
Deliberate attempts to sabotage when Philip J. Pierre penned that letter, when Guy Mayers was appointed by the St. Lucia government to be the High Commissioner in the UK. That one really hit me, man. That one hit me. He wrote to the British and asked them to forward a copy to Buckingham Palace, saying that he would like them not to approve. He suggests, or words to that effect, that they not approve the appointment by St. Lucia of Guy Mayers as the High Commissioner in London. Can you believe that? Sabotage in your own country. Sabotage in your own country. Because, hold on, because Guy Mayers was the minister at the time of Restore Confidence.
But you remember right to investors? Right to investors and tell them.
I mean, this
So,
is.
but that's very, very alarming. Like you use that word a lot. There's nothing positive these guys ever came out of.
Everything is just
anytime they're in
destruction.
opposition,
They have to
Nothing
destroy you.
positive.
They have to assassinate your character.
But I have news for them. They're not relating to the St. Lucian people anymore in that tone.
Well,
I am
hold
telling you.
on,
No,
my
listen,
friend. Hold on,
listen.
my friend. Let them continue.
Yeah. Because the St. Lucian people are very wise people.
Their eyes are opening to the
They are
nonsense.
trying to get St. Lucians into that kind of violence, but the people are not having it. The St. Lucian public is not having it. Yes, they're relating to some of their people, but the majority of the St. Lucian people
Listen,
are not having
we
that kind of
always, this has always, regardless, St. Lucians talk a lot. But by and large, I mean, there'll always be those kooky elements, right? But by and large, St. Lucians will talk a lot of talk, but they're not into that sort of thing.
No.
And there has been a great deal of effort in trying to sway people's minds
Yes, sir.
into whatever.
Into that kind of activity.
And it's not working.
It's not working.
Zot paka we ipaka
It's not
twavai.
working. The majority of the people don't want that type of violence in their country, and that is what these guys are preaching. Okay. They are preaching. But I have
hold on. You, as a person of influence, you have to be more responsible. And you have to understand that whatever you say has influence. And even if you have to be very circumspect, you have to be very cognizant, and you have to be very aware of what you say. And as leaders in this country, they must be aware. They are aware. Because if they're not aware, they should not be in office. They should not put themselves up to represent the people. That there are people out there who are on the fringe. There are people out there who will swallow everything that you say. And it only takes one day for one party hack, for one ignoramus, for one bugwen to take what you say literally. And then that's not what we meant, well, figuratively we use the English language, all of that foolishness. When you know very well, if I know it, don't tell me you don't know. If I know it, and other people know it, and we're open enough with the internet and the news and cable TV and all of that to know what happens with suggestion. And we have to demand more responsibility, especially when the leader of the opposition was at the crime symposium in November last year. And we're scratching our heads, everyone, alarmed, and trying to come up with solutions to crime. And one of the biggest pointers in all of it is the need for conflict resolution. Conflict resolution. Yet still, we have these leaders who, in opposition to policies of the government, to the direction of the government, there almost every word is an insinuation of some type of violence. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
What's the that one?
You know, come on. What
does that say?
exactly do you expect people to get from that? That you're being loving, that you're trying to work things out? There will be no peace.
Yeah. It has been said more than once by the same person. But you know these guys, I say something here, but these guys have to do these things. I'll tell you why. They cannot afford to lay low. If they lay low, they're buried. And that is what they know. So if I was the police commissioner, I would allow the Labour Party a protest every week. They had one on Sunday, I give them one the Monday after that, and the next week I give them another one. Let them protest all for 52 weeks of the year. You know, they have to do these things to keep themselves alive. If they don't do that, they're dead. They know that.
Okay, so getting back to the other comedy show, Philip J Pierre, leader of the opposition, SLP member, last week spoke about the reasons for a march, for them to demonstrate, for them to express themselves. Let's hear what Philip J. Pierre had to say about the government.
We need to stop this government. We need to send a clear signal that the people of St. Lucia cannot take it anymore. Therefore, on September the 9th, we'll assemble on the VG playing field and march to the market steps to send a collective statement to the government that we cannot take it anymore. We need the completion of the West Wing at St. Jude Hospital site to allow the hospital to be removed from the George Odlum Stadium.
Believe that?
We need the St. Jude Hospital to be completed. We need a complete commissioning of the OKEU to serve as a national hospital. The government has approached the healthcare of the people with insensitivity and carelessness. While St. Lucians are dying, yes, dying, according to doctors, because of the state of our health system.
Pause that right
The
there.
government
Pause
is
that, pause that, man.
with
Pause that. Pause that, man. Pause that. Can you believe that bollocks?
Would you believe that?
Can you believe that bollocks, man?
People are dying.
Hold on. That doctors are saying
Yeah.
that people are dying.
As a result of
Dang, damn it. People were not dying 5 years ago,
imagine that.
4 years ago, 6 years ago.
People are dying.
As if all of a sudden, people beginning to die. I mean, what is this nonsense?
Brother, I could see your emotion, Brother Norbert, but I don't want to have to take you anywhere. So just...
I ain't going anywhere with you either.
You want to take him to Cuba?
I ain't going anywhere with you.
No,
I mean,
seriously.
people, hold on a second here. I mean, let's keep it real. People are dying. Listen to what he's refusing you. Doctors are saying,
According to the doctors,
yes,
Yeah.
that people are dying.
Dying.
People didn't die in 2016. I just read here a few editions ago, a few episodes ago, the numbers of the deaths.
Yeah, I remember I was there before I left.
Right.
That, yeah.
The numbers of the deaths, and I will find them again. Right? Before the show is over tonight, I will find the numbers for you all. Doctors are saying that people are dying. What does that mean?
Yeah.
That before this administration was in, nobody was dying?
But people dying anyway. The
But
reality of life, people
last
die.
time they were saying doctors are dying. Now they're saying doctors are saying it.
No,
No, but that's not funny. These guys are man.
I mean, and then the audacity, the further audacity to say, recommence
Yeah.
the construction at St. Jude's
Yeah.
immediately.
Imagine that.
Recommence or open OKEU immediately. But before I go further, continue.
And carelessness. While St. Lucians are dying, yes, dying, according to doctors, because of the state of our health system, the government is toying with misconceived ideas and playing with the assets and health of the people.
The Prime Minister does
Moses
not
Jean-Baptiste.
have any respect for what is St. Lucian. The
What
Prime
is St.
Minister
Lucian?
is demonstrating that the OKEU is not good enough for St. Lucians.
Pause.
Wow, wow,
Pause.
wow.
I mean,
wow,
what
wow,
absolute
wow,
baloney is
wow,
that?
Wow.
Why the reasonable question now that has to be out? You see, again, that's why I have to get vexed sometimes, you know. Where is the press with the follow-up questions to that? You all were there.
Yeah, boy.
You all were there.
Yeah,
Where are the follow-up questions? What do you mean by that?
yeah.
What evidence do you have to suggest that the Prime Minister does not feel that the OKEU hospital is for regular St. Lucians?
Imagine that.
I mean, to say some absolute stupidity
When that Prime
like
Minister,
that,
when this Prime Minister was the first one to put the dialysis machines
to spew such stupidity without challenging this man on that is unconscionable, is delinquent. It's shocking your responsibility. Why? What you went to the press conference for? A few free cookies or something? If you got any over there?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, if I can listen to this and immediately ask myself, far less the people whose job it is to delve, to dig, to ask the questions for the public, what in tarnation were you there for? Good looks? I mean, some people have to take the blows. I mean, don't tell me that an elected representative of the people or anybody could make a statement. This is profound. This is a significant allegation. And you don't ask for an explanation of what you mean by that? Go on.
It's dying, according to
Not
doctors,
him.
because of the state of our health system. The government is toying with misconceived ideas and playing with the assets and health of the people.
The Prime Minister does not have any respect for what is St. Lucian.
What is he saying?
The Prime Minister is demonstrating that the OKEU is not good enough for St. Lucians. It is too new, it's too modern, the equipment in there is too high-tech, and therefore the OKEU should belong to tourists.
All the financing proposals as to how the OKEU hospital would have been commissioned was there on the table. There were documents. The government refused to consider them. Another Prime Minister comes and speaks about money and uses the excuse that he can't get money and this and that. The government has been deliberate, reckless, and callous as far as the hospital is concerned, and it's elitist in the health care it wants to give to the citizens of St. Lucia.
Hold on a second.
Wow.
Hold on a second. Listen to Philip J. Pierre, because he's stating some facts here. I want you, again, as I always say, you have to give people their props when they're right.
Right.
When they're on target, when they're stating the truth. And I believe what Philip J. Pierre said in the latter part of this is the truth, because it relates to his administration when they were in office. And he says all the financial proposals and the information, words to that effect, are there. So why isn't the government making use or following the suggestions and the information which is there for their guidance to finance the hospital properly? So now I am left to ask Philip J. Pierre, why the bloody hell didn't you implement these same policies and instructions which were there, that you are referring, that are there for this government to follow? Why were you all unable to follow them and get the financing and get things in order to have the OKEU functional, rather than spending over $100,000 on the 21st of February 2016
for the opening,
for a naming ceremony?
For the naming, that's right.
You don't think that $100 and something thousand could have been better served in providing some service at Victoria Hospital? But just before elections, when you all knew your elections were nearing, you spent a large sum of St. Lucian's money to name the hospital, a whole big hoopla presentation by doctors and nurses and the OKEU staff and Dr. King and the European representative and this one, that. I think they even had some goats in the back in the bush too watching.
Yeah, had a lot of stuff.
All of that going on. Drink sandwich, gas galore.
Yeah.
They didn't even invite me. I was here.
Yeah.
They didn't invite me. That hurt me even more.
I don't think you wanted to be invited.
No, man, a free sandwich. What are you talking about?
No, but seriously, that I want to hear Moses Jean-Baptiste again regarding the hospital is for tourists.
No, but hold on. Mokofini.
Could you imagine?
Mokofini. You see, this whole thing, and that's typical again, gross generalizations, speculation, throwing wild suggestions out there, and none of it, not one iota of evidence presented. Just spewing a bunch of baloney, and I'm not talking about on any sandwich either. Right? Baloney. You ever get slapped by a ham? Well, they're slapping people with baloney. Pie.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an insult to the intelligence of St. Lucians to push this nonsense out there without any supporting evidence. At least today, Ernest Hilaire tried to come out with that deed of sale. But, zapate a se, that was not enough. No estaba bastante. Hey, you speak Spanish now, right? You speak Spanish now, right? 3 weeks in Cuba. Yeah, come on. Right? Right? You know, you want to hear...
I would love to hear a Moses again. Not love in the sense of...
Oh, we have a call. Good night. Thanks for calling Keeping It Real. You're on the air.
Buenos días, buenas noches.
Buenas noches, señor. Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Muy bien, muy bien.
¿Cómo está usted?
Bien, gracias.
Bien, bien.
¿De dónde le llamas?
No, habla español.
Español poquito.
Poquito habla.
Okay.
So 5 minutes more. Where is Layo? Tell him good night for me.
He's hearing you loud and clear.
I'm right here. I'm right here, sir.
Okay, before I start, I will talk to you for 3 minutes.
Okay.
Right? For $3.
Okay.
But my number is 728-8658.
728-8658.
That's right. When I will cut off.
Okay.
Yes. If Ernest Hilaire don't want to call, I will call. I call. Somebody has to call.
You call on his behalf?
No.
Oh.
I'm Flambeau. No. I'm Flambeau.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, the position is this.
Yes.
The situation between what happened with the French people coming from Martinique to the port. Okay? I am kind of perturbed because I am a local reporter. Sometimes I send news for RFO and Radio Live Boot, and RFI. And but these days the contract ended, so no news. They ain't getting no news from St. Lucia. But what the French fellas want, they want news against the Prime Minister. And the last time I had to tell them, I cannot do that. I have to balance the news, but they don't want to hear.
Yeah, he's gone.
But that was not 3 minutes.
That wasn't 3 minutes. Somebody lied to you.
Yeah.
They took 3 minutes, but they gave you one.
The recording on the phone line. Anyway, my brother.
Thank you for calling,
you could call
sir.
back.
Maybe we could contact you a little later.
Oh yeah, probably that's why he gave his number.
But you were.
Listen. I would not love, because this is too much of a good word. I would like to hear the
yes,
Moses Jean-Baptiste ridiculous statement again. If you have it, brother Ellis.
Let's
okay, yes, we'll go back. Let's see if we can get.
Not Philip. I don't want to hear Philip. I just want to hear what Moses Jean-Baptiste said.
Well,
you take it from there?
We can go back in the.
Let's just do the whole thing.
Okay.
It's not that long.
Yes.
Because I'm sure.
You want the whole thing?
Yeah, let's play the whole thing because people after the little discussion want to hear again for themselves so they can digest.
We need to stop this government. We need to send a clear signal that the people of St. Lucia cannot take it anymore. Therefore, on September the 9th, we'll assemble on the VG playing field and march to the market steps to send a collective statement to the government that we cannot take it anymore. We need the completion of the West Wing at St. Jude Hospital site to allow the hospital to be removed from the George Odlum Stadium. We need the St. Jude Hospital to be completed. We need a complete commissioning of the OKEU to serve as a national hospital. The government has approached the healthcare of the people with insensitivity and callousness. While St. Lucians are dying, yes, dying, according to doctors, because of the state of our health system, the government is toying with misconceived ideas and playing with the assets and health of the people.
The Prime Minister does not have any respect for what is St. Lucian. The Prime Minister is demonstrating that the OKEU is not good enough for St. Lucians.
How?
It is too new, it's too modern, the equipment in there is too high-tech, and therefore the OKEU should belong to tourists.
But why is that? How
all
stupid is
the
that?
financing proposals as to how the OKEU hospital would have been commissioned was there on the table. There were documents. The government refused to consider them. And now the Prime Minister comes and speaks about money and uses the excuse that he can't get money and this and that. The government has been deliberate, reckless, and callous as far as the hospital is concerned, and it's elitist in the health care it wants to give to the citizens of St. Lucia.
But can I respond on Moses Jabatis' statement? It sounds like a guy that was asleep during the conference, and somebody just woke him up and say, this is your turn. Because I really do not understand what the guy is trying to say. The Prime Minister doesn't believe that the OKEU hospital, it is too high-tech for St. Lucian, it's for tourists.
No, but
what is that?
Who said that?
No, but what is that? What kind of explanation you giving? I don't understand that.
Well, you see, that type of, that is pandering to some sort of xenophobia, fear of foreigners, or demonizing foreigners.
But why bring in tourists? Tourists to this country is a high source of revenue for this country. This is what we depend on. What is he saying?
Hold on. St. Lucians right now are medical tourists. They go to Martinique for medical care. They go to Barbados. They go to Trinidad. They go to Cuba.
Yeah.
A big source of foreign exchange in Cuba is medical care. St. Lucians go to Martinique for healthcare. I mean, the U.S. for healthcare. They go to New York. They go Miami. Some even go to Canada. So why can't we benefit from that? Is Moses Jean-Baptiste suggesting that the St. Lucians, who will require the same procedures and the type of care that OKEU will eventually deliver, will not have, is that his suggestion?
But
that, will not have those services available to them. They'll still have to go to Martinique and Cuba and the US, and only the foreigners will be going to OKEU. But then he's totally ignored the government's intention to implement national health care insurance. And every St. Lucian will be able to afford to receive quality health care. These were some of the promises of the government of the United Workers' Party during the election campaign, and it is in the manifesto. So, conveniently again, just like Ernest Hilaire showing up the deed of sale only without talking about what led us up to having to produce this deed of sale, just like Moses Jean-Baptiste talking about this, he doesn't give you the rest of the story, that St. Lucians will be able to afford, that they will be able to access tertiary health care at the OKEU, because now the national insurance that has been spoken about for quite some time now, if we remember, will allow every St. Lucian to have access to that health care. But maybe Moses Jean-Baptiste has forgotten that. maybe at this stage in his life, I don't know, I'm just left to speculate that somehow something is affecting his memory.
And here is something that just coming in on my WhatsApp. It says, guys, the reconstruction site is not waiting for the West Wing to complete. That wing is the cafeteria, the administrative block. It just shows you the guy has not one clue of the status of the site and the work to be completed.
Could you imagine
hold on, Pain. You mix me up, you know. At my age, you'll mix me up.
Because you have bionics now, you're not afraid of you. You throw you down.
Yeah. It just shows you the guy has not one clue of the status of the site and the work to be completed. Every wing needs work to be done. The East has the most work with the private wards that was added after. The main ward is the center wing, consists of surgical operating rooms, x-ray, emergency room, lab, and radiology.
Well, sounds like somebody who knows a little something.
Yeah.
But before we go ahead, because our listeners in and out of St. Lucia are important, like to say a special good night to Pierrot in Vieux-Fort. Got a message there some time ago. And listening as well, Bermuda, and a message here from Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada.
All right.
How many of you have ever heard of Bowmanville, Ontario?
Lana know that. Lana spent a long time in Canada.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, a little more than you spent in Cuba. Can we take a pause for another?
So we take a pause
break?
for a cause and a commercial break, and we'll be right back, folks, with some hot action. We're gonna be rolling it, tumbling here tonight.
At 15 minutes past 9 o'clock, we take you back to Norbert Williams and Keeping It Real.
Well, welcome back, folks. Welcome back. Hope you didn't miss the early part of the show because things have been blazing over here, as usual. Giving it to you live and direct and keeping it real right here in the studios on the top of Mondidon with Lionel Ellis at the console and Champagne in the back there rummaging around trying to break the door or something. But anyway, folks, just like to acknowledge some of the people listening in to us. Woodbridge, Ontario, Canada. Conyers, Georgia. Brooklyn, New York. Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Kingstown, St. Vincent. Lake Mary in Florida. Good night to you. Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada. New York, New York. St. John's, Antigua. Miami, Florida. London, England. You know the wonders of modern day technology. We can actually see what countries and what town or what city those who are listening on the stream are connecting from. And hey, look, down at the bottom there, South Africa. Can you believe that? South Africa. Tokyo, Japan. Wow. We have people listening from all over. That's good. Welcome to everyone tonight. Uncle Ellis, what did you want? Oh my gosh. Uncle Ellis is destroying the last slice of pizza there. And he has a really guilty smile on his face.
Guilty and happiness. Oh my goodness.
So I want to say hello to Keystone Graves up there in Anguilla, Lockdown, and
we have you a message.
And we have Commissioner Foster up there in Montserrat.
Yeah.
We have I think Peter Josie is supposed to be listening.
Well,
he seemed to don't know how to listen now. He's asked me a question there.
Oh,
okay. Did you send him the link?
Yeah, we did.
Did you send it to him? Just send it to him right now, so he just has to tap on it and start up.
Chris Ellis up there in Florida.
It's only your family listening, man.
No. I have some Cuban nurses listening. I don't know how they got the website.
Well, folks, if you'd like to give us a call, 456 0931 456 0931. The email address. Oh, I got an email. I almost forgot to bring that one up. But the email address, if you'd like to ask a question, make a comment, statement, something, is info at keepingitreal.lc. And if you'd like, you're a Facebook junkie, you can check out our Facebook page. All you do is just search for Keeping It Real on Facebook, and you'll see our Facebook page and the archive shows that have been uploaded so far. So if you want to go back and look at the different topics that we've had over the past 10 episodes, you can listen in on all the action. 456-0931, info at keepingitreal.lc.
But before we go past the statements, during the break, could you really put your finger on what was said? Is there any way you could come to understand what Moses Jean-Baptiste was saying?
I have absolutely no idea. The only conclusion I can come to was just a bunch of hogwash to get people excited, to make them believe that there's something going on, and it's not supported by any information.
But this is a guy that's in a leadership. Oh my God! The man
What,
is a
lead-
representative
lead
of
lead a sheep?
constituent.
Lead a sheep.
The man is in leadership, my brother. He was in government. For you to make a statement, a ridiculous statement like that, is the OKEU?
I mean, is that the
hospital
depth of our representatives?
Come
now?
on.
I make no apologies in asking
and the
that
prime
question.
minister doesn't like the high tech of the
It's not good
ONT.
enough for St. Lucians. I
But
mean,
what
this
is
is
that?
absolute nonsense. That's absolute nonsense.
What is that? Anyway, let's go move past that.
So anyway, moving right along, folks. At 20 minutes after 9 on a somewhat rainy Tuesday evening, we have the leader of the opposition, Philip J Pierre, making demands on the government to continue the reconstruction of St. Jude's immediately, to open OKEU now, to do this and do that, and XYZ and all of that. That the monies, the facilities for the monies and all of this were there. But weren't those same facilities available when you were there, Mr. J Pierre? I want to know. Because I can't understand how Mr. Philip J Pierre is putting the challenge to the government. And the same facility he was talking about was there when he was there, and he apparently didn't do anything with it. I don't know, man. This is joking me. I can't understand it, Champagne. I don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are just becoming a little bit too much, and I'm wondering that with the high blood pressure these guys are trying to give St. Lucians, whether with all the facilities that are going to be coming with the OKEU and St. Jude's, whether we're going to have enough care for all of these people. Because it seems like they're contributing to the stress of the people. Somebody just messaged me there a while ago and they said, Chagrin pouvoir. Yeah. And I spoke about a similar circumstance. Sometimes our people don't know the real technical or medical terms to describe conditions in people. And so in our patois, we have chagrin pouvoir. But that in itself relates very well to the 5 stages of grief, the chagrin pouvoir. And it seems to me, strangely for St. Lucia, strangely for me, in St. Lucia, or strangely, that we have an elected term of 5 years, and that there are 5 stages of grief, right? 5 stages of grief. And I can average it out and say that each year would be the progression to another stage of grief. But it seems like some people, somebody messaged me and said, Chagwe pouvoir and go puel too. You know, it seems to me that all how the time goes by, that these stages of grief are doing a number on some of these people, doing a number on the opposition. But, you know, in the demands that Philip J Pierre is making on the government, fix St. Jude's, recommence construction now, immediately. The question I have to ask Philip J Pierre and Moses Jean-Baptiste and Ernest Hilaire and the rest is, how much money did the SLP leave in the coffers for the new government to recommence everything that they're demanding right now? That's what I want to know. So will somebody ask Ernest Hilaire or Philip J Pierre or Moses Jean-Baptiste to call the show, please? 456-0931. 454-56-0931. Eh bien, yon. 456-0931. You all have a lot of connections, so. You know, where's the money you're left? If you want to make demands, because if I left $100 for champagne to do groceries, so when I get home or when I get to the studio, that I have dinner on a Tuesday night,
Should be,
and there's no dinner, champagne has to ask me, well, where's the $100 or where's the money you left for me to get dinner?
That's right.
Because you can't go to the grocery store, you can't go to the supermarket with rocks or sand.
Yeah.
So the question to the SLP is, where the money you're left? Tell us how much money you left. you know, people like to mess around with me. And somebody is sending me a message here and asking me to say it in German too. Say it in German too. Well, you know what? The person who messaged me there, call this station, 456-0931, and say it in German. Right? Say it in German.
But listen, though, he from St. Lucia?
Who that?
This man you're talking about.
Man, look. Don't do like that, man, there, okay? If you're talking, man, talk about the man name, say the man name.
But I couldn't believe that, man.
You can't believe that?
I thought he was American.
Man, you talking bare foolishness, man.
Man, he just come down.
Man, look, man, I tell you, man, them people are playing the fool here in St. Lucia. Can't take this, man.
See you all the Bajan fellas. Stay out of your fellas stuff. Because that statement I heard there earlier by Moses Jean-Baptiste, let me tell you something, that took a toll on me. Because that I've never heard such garbage from somebody that was in government or someone who's trying to get back into government. The Prime Minister doesn't want St. Lucia to have a state of the what he said, high-tech hospital, and the hospital is just for tourists. I mean, who says stuff like that? My son that goes to the comprehensive school would not even make a statement like that, and he's 14 years.
But that's a real ignorant statement.
It's stupid. It doesn't even have any base. It
There's
doesn't mean anything.
There's no excuse for that. That is an insult to people's intelligence. I mean, let's up the game a little bit.
Come on.
And then now, hold on there now. Let's get to the crux of the matter. Ouvle un match. St. Lucia Stars Ped.
Mm-hmm.
Stars.
Yeah.
We have to change the name of that team to St. Lucia Flambeaus.
St. Lucia Touch.
Flambeaus.
Flames.
They'll win. St. Lucia Flames.
Flames would be better.
Maybe they'll win.
They would win.
But, you know, a little humor there. And, we
Flames.
don't really want any team to be called by a political name. But, they're the
Flames
Stars.
is not a political
But
name.
no. But, sometimes the nonsense these guys speak rubs off on you. When they get any opportunity they get to give a joke, well, I'll give the Stars a little
But I
joke.
thought I had heard some garbage before in my time, but this one today, that one, I didn't heard before. I'm hearing it for the first time.
But anyway, the great big march of shame. Because that's what it is. It's a march of shame. It's the SLP's act of contrition. Or listen to me. If they're repenting, marching from the field to the market steps is not long enough.
No.
Because people jump in for carnival from Shock to town.
So you're saying
they should go from Pigeon Point to town.
Yeah.
Pigeon Point to town. Yeah. That's where they should march. From Pigeon Point to town. And all the people they're going to be bussing in from around the island. Say, oh, we had a big march. All the people they bussing in. Bring all of them up to Pigeon Point. Ekfeyo tout marché exot.
You know, I'll say something, Brother Norbert. You know, these matches, these guys that don't bother me, it shouldn't even bother anybody because these guys have to keep themselves alive. If they do not do these things, they are dead, buried. So I don't even pay attention to these guys' match. Me, as the police commissioner, would give them one on Sunday, one on Monday. The next week, one on Sunday, one on Monday.
Now that's cruel and inhumane punishment.
No, but listen, seriously though, it seems as though the SLP have a leadership that's interesting in demonstrating or doing something to themselves. Because I remember when Honorable Philip J Pierre wanted to take the government to court for not appointing a deputy speaker.
Right.
The parliament is supposed to appoint a speaker, which he's part of.
Right.
So I say, well, he's trying to take it. The first time in history he's taking himself to court. You know, I've never heard somebody go and get a lawyer to take himself to court.
That one was stupid
you know,
too.
it's kind of amusing.
That was very amusing.
But from what I understand...
But now they're marching against themselves. They're marching to tell the people of St. Lucia that they did not open up OKEU.
But hold on. You must put it in the right context. It is a march of shame. And the first step in recovery, in repentance, in asking for forgiveness, is admitting that you did wrong, admitting that you failed,
right,
admitting that you're a sinner, admitting that you are deserving of punishment, right? That you are deserving of punishment. The punishment you received on the 6th of June, 2016.
Yeah.
The arrogance and the denial, and when I say denial, I'm not talking about a river in Africa.
Yeah.
The denial is not going to help. So they're calling this march, although still they're resisting, it's a march of shame. Because you cannot tell me, okay? You're demanding that the government recommence construction on St. Jude's, opens OKEU, and does so many things that the economy is this and that, all kinds of complaints. But as if to me, in the last 5 years of the previous administration, we had the same St. Jude's situation. They didn't deliver. We had the same OKEU. Well, to their credit, the only thing they did was to officially name it, put a plaque and fancy bagay to give somebody a little thing to make some sandwiches and whatever.
And nobody was dying.
Nobody was dying. Nobody was dying at that time. We had
people started to die on June the 6th.
Yeah. On June
we had record numbers for unemployment, unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things under their watch. But as if miraculously, they became gurus after the 6th of June. Everything that they could not fix, suddenly, the policies which they were implementing, which failed, the measures that they put in place, which failed, the strategies that they tried to implement, all failed. But now, they're the gurus who want to tell the government now how to go about doing it to make it succeed. Messieurs, will you hire a man who failed? If you go to the hospital, would you want a doctor, if he is a doctor, who failed at medical school to operate on you?
Never.
Would you trust him? Would you go to a mechanic to whom a friend of yours last week went to get their car repaired and the engine blew up, would you still go to that mechanic or take advice from that mechanic on how to fix your car? So why should anyone listen to the SLP now? They couldn't open OKEU. They had years. And in fact, as a matter of fact, the PM toured St. Jude's. The Minister of Health, Alvina Reynolds, toured St. Jude's. All and sundry were there. The big hoopla and the statements. November this year, that year, la la la, blah, 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 blah. All kind of thing. Let's hear what Dr. Kenny Anthony had to say as he toured St. Jude's Hospital in 2012.
There was talk initially of a hospital being constructed at 30 million. It's now in the vicinity of 47 million. I think by completion it's going to be about 60 million. You know what? I think it's going to be money well spent because you're going to have, as I said, a new hospital, increased facilities, brand new facilities, equipment that we never had before here at St. Jude. So, well, I understand the opinion, and they're saying to the effect that good thing comes to those who wait. The wait has been long, but I think at the end of the day, the people of the South will be very happy with what they will find here.
Yeah, right. That's one.
2012.
2012 again.
The challenges that people from the South face for medical care, meaning that when anything happens that they have to leave the South and travel to the North, those challenges will be resolved. So we'll have a lot of new equipment here, and no longer will our citizens from the South have to go to Castries to obtain key medical care or key medical treatments. That is important.
That's 2012 again. Next. Yeah.
So far this year, following on the statement that I made, that this year would be the last year that St. Jude would be occupying the stadium. And so far I have seen a lot of improvements, especially in the technical work. The various departments, surgical, medical, the restaurant, there are areas that will need work, of course, but these are minor ones. But there's a lot of work has been pushed, and there is more to be done, and I look forward to the next few months where work will really be pushed, night and day.
There's more.
I am very impressed.
2014.
This first time here, we did not see all of this work that been put into the facility. But having come back a couple of months later, I have seen a lot more work. And I was either remarking to Ms. King, a lot more workers inside. So it's very exciting what is happening here now. I know they're actually rushing to get to the date that they have identified to complete the project. So I am very impressed with what I've seen this morning.
Folks, you hear all of that? To those of you who can remember, I remember, I'm sure Champagne remembers.
No, but before you go there, Norbert, all of those statements were made long before the election.
Long before.
No.
Yeah, we have a caller.
Thank you for calling.
Good evening.
Thank you for calling, keeping it real. You're on the air.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Now, I've been listening for quite a long while.
Yes, sir.
We know that.
I have been patiently listening to you. I hope that when I try to make a statement, that you allow me to finish, because I'm using my cellular phone, and don't waste my money. And afterwards, you can rebut.
Okay.
I hope that can happen.
Well, hopefully we can do it without you being misleading.
And extremely long.
I do not want to be misleading, and I will not be too long. All I want to say is that I have heard you hashing the members of the St. Lucia Labour Party. You've always also asked them to call. But in previous announcements from you, you have said that they should not be talking now, but yet still you're calling them to speak, right? I feel that is dishonest. And let me just continue now to say something now. I want to take our two prime ministers that we have had, right? Dr. Kenny Anthony was an island scholar and has been successful in everything that he has done.
Wow.
Our present prime minister I do not know what school that he has or what his education background is, but I can note, as you have hashed all of our guys, that most of the businesses and the businesses or the units that he has run before becoming Prime Minister, question marks raised there. And I just want to end there by saying that when we want to judge people, do not always take them down on their hard part, the part that is wrong. But let us try and balance it off. Just like I was asked a question about the development of Newport, and I give that of the United Workers' Party, that of the Labour Party. We must not always hash and cut down people for the statements that we feel that we can knock them out, because there are other ways to change this story. Have a blessing.
Thank you very much for calling. But, I really don't know where the caller is going with this, because he's talking about being balanced and not taking the negatives as all of it. But what the SLP failed at with St. Jude's, with the OKEU, with, remember, the jobs, and what we got was unemployment. I don't know how, in being real, because this is keeping it real, how you can be in St. Lucia today with the state of our healthcare and the state that it has been through in the past 9 years, and ignore mentioning that for 5 of those years, the SLP was at the helm just 2 years ago. I don't know how we can ignore that. I absolutely don't know. And, I mean, when we're talking around there, you have to make statements that are pertinent, that are relevant, and have some bearing on the topic at discussion. And that's where I'm going to leave this. But
I was saying something there, and the caller just made me think of this, because he seems to always call and with a direct defense of Dr. Kenny Anthony, and almost as though he's the official spokesman for Dr. Kenny Anthony. But that's not what I really want to say. I just wanted to make the point of the inserts that you replayed. For those of you who don't know, these inserts were made in 2012, 2014. But that's 2 years. The last one was 2014, 2 years before Dr. Kenny Anthony himself called the election. So if in 2012 we are going to get a state-of-the-art hospital, and even up to 2014 it was not complete, he had another 2 years between 2014 and 2016 to complete it. So between 2012 and to 2016, it was not completed. Although all the dates that were given and all the state-of-the-art hospital that St. Lucia is going to get, how on earth can someone call now and talk about Dr. Anthony hasn't failed?
But you see, I think I've come up. I think I've come up with the proper analysis of exactly what happened.
Because some people are listening, they don't know what we're talking about.
No, we have to be fair sometimes. Yeah. I think that I've come up with the right explanation for what went on there, right? You remember the days when there was bazaar at the Anglican school?
Yeah, I won a lucky dip at that, 25 cents.
Well, it's interesting.
That was not what I paid for the lucky dip. That was the price.
Right. There was bazaar as well at the RC Boys School.
And the Methodist school.
At the Methodist used to be a big thing back then, right? Tea party. Right. Now remember, since I went to Anglican, remember the bazaars over there, a big part of the bazaars, especially for the kids.
Remember, they were not called bazaars, they were called bazaar.
Bazaar, right? A big attraction of the bazaars was Lucky Dip. And I'm telling you, I don't care what anybody says. Former Minister of Health Alvina Reynolds and Dr. Kenny Anthony both went to bazaars, or at least they had one in their offices with a Lucky Dip. And every time they had to come up with a date for the opening of St. Jude's Hospital, they dipped their hand in the sawdust and come up with a date.
Yeah.
When they wanted to know how much it was costing at the time or would cost, Dr. Kenny Anthony would drop his hand in the sawdust and come up with a prize, $10 million, $15 million, because that's how it seemed they were getting the responses, because there was no rhyme or reason to it. There was no logical sequence. They were all over the map like Google Maps.
And they couldn't meet their dates.
And they couldn't meet the date, so it was just like some random thing you just threw out there. And if it stuck, it stuck. If it didn't, then you give another date.
And the caller seemed to know that Dr. Anthony never failed at anything.
But
I don't know.
I ain't going to entertain.
I wish he would call and really talk, dialogue, bring up something, make sure that what we say was incorrect. Correct us
But
on
hold
some
on,
point
hold
or
on,
another.
hold on.
But I don't understand him.
Listen.
Come back again.
Listen, this is a waste of time. Philip J Pierre is challenging the government to finish St. Jude's, recommence construction, move into OKEU, fix unemployment, all of those things. But like I said again, he's challenging the government and saying there's no transparency. People don't know what's going on. Mr. Philip J. Pierre, you were in the previous government. You were in cabinet. You were in parliament. You were privy as deputy leader of being the right-hand man to Dr. Kenny Anthony, in being in the hierarchy of the St. Lucia Labour Party.
You were sitting next to him, right? In the house.
Right? So what I would like to do, since you have challenged the government with so many things, what I would like you to do, because I'm almost certain that you must have the answers to these questions, tell us about Grindberg, please. Tell us what really happened about Grindberg. Tell us what really happened with Rochamel. We have another call. Thank you for calling, keeping it real. Good night. You're on the air.
Very interesting. Let me tell you something. You see, just like Champagne loves the present Prime Minister, it is also my right to love whosoever Prime Minister, whosoever person I like. But let me just say something. I need you to do me some homework for next week.
Oh, you're giving homework now?
Yeah, I want you to do me a favor, right? Get me some of the statements that Honorable Guy Joseph has made concerning the opening of St. Jude. And I also want to remind you that...
Partner, caller, hold on, caller.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that for you. That you could Google that. That information is available to you.
Well, what I will do is that I will use my technology next week.
There you go.
Right? Next week I will do the technology. Yeah. I will record all of them, and I'll try and relay them to you.
Okay, great.
If you'd allow it. But then let me just end up by saying something, and I'm laughing because I'm in good spirit.
That's cool. That's good.
Let me just say something, that when we want to TMET, right? Let us TMET real fair, because I'm enjoying it so much, that we need to be more flexible, because I can get so much. And one thing I just want to end this, since we're talking about hospitals, the St. Lucia Labour Party came in and they never stopped the hospital. They continue the expansion that Honorable King wanted. And I personally believe now proper reasons should be given to us why it stopped and where we're going. Because at the end of the day, if it is going to be for a foreigner to lead this hospital, I want to suggest tonight that we renegotiate that with Tapion, the owners of Tapion, who are real St. Lucians, and let us make it a St. Lucian thing. Have a blessed night.
Right, thanks for calling.
Let me respond to my brother. My brother, listen, let me respond to my brother. I love the Prime Minister, Honorable Allen Chastanet, as a human being who happens to be a very, very, very good gentleman. And I love the direction. For the first time, and last night on our program Reflections, I was saying to my brother Lionel Ellis that for the first time in my observation in 20 years, that I am seeing this country is starting to move. and there's no other person that has to get responsibility for that.
Take credit for it.
Take very great credit for that is Honorable Allen Chastanet. So I know you love your ex-prime minister, your former prime minister, my brother. There's nothing wrong in that. I love my prime minister because I love him as a human being, and I love to see what he's trying to do for this country.
Yeah, I have to reiterate, and I think we have to move along this path. Nothing wrong if you support Dr. Kenny Anthony or the SLP. Nothing wrong if you support UWP. Nothing wrong if you support Thurl Prudent.
Right.
We can disagree. I don't like the expression, let's agree to disagree. That's nonsense.
To me,
I don't like that.
Make too much sense.
We can disagree. I understand you have a point of view different to mine. I will reason with you and put things. You see, the thing is, some people expect that they could just shove it down your throat and you're going to turn right away. Let people understand. Let people discuss. Let's, see how things go. Give this government the opportunity to implement the measures. But I'll tell you something. Going back to that march again, I think it's a march of shame because somehow deep down inside, I think the SLP really wants to say, I'm sorry. But they don't know how to say it.
But they've had matches before. There was a match earlier.
They don't know how to say it. They don't know how to say it. And this is just another opportunity. And to think of, well, it's the date of the anniversary of the fire. On a Sunday again, right? On a Sunday. If you really want to say you're sorry, go to Pigeon Point and walk down to town. For Carnival, people were just there jumping from shock, and they were not sorry about anything. They were happy. But you sorry you walk in a shorter distance? Should go to Point, right? Now, the thing is that in this act of penance, because they failed to deliver on the hospital, They failed to inject immediately $100 million into the economy.
Yeah, that was a big talk.
Right? They failed at that. They failed with the jobs. They failed at that too. So, what are you to be thanked for? Putting St. Lucia in a miserable state? That's the question that I have. And again, I have to keep going back to that. If what you're challenging the government on is exactly what you failed at, then you do not have any moral authority, you do not have any currency, you do not have any you're not coming from any position of superiority in accomplishment to tell the government, to dictate to the government, to insist that the government listen to you with the very same policies that failed. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or anybody to understand that concept. Why should this government listen to you? Now, the thing is, what we have to understand is there's always more than one way, most of the time, to do something, to do things. And if you wanted to go one way at accomplishing it, that's you all. You failed, or at least you're out of office now. Give this government an opportunity. You had the opportunity because the first day you come into office, regardless of what you plan and what you say to the people that you're going to deliver for them, it's not going to happen in the first month. When you start a job, when you start building a house, the first day you start, you're not going to finish. Things have to be done step by step. It's just like if you broke, which is how this government found St. Lucia. Broke. Dead as a doornail. Things have to be put in place. You have to put the fiscal measures in place. Look, everything that this government does, the SLP has something opposite to say.
Everything.
Everything. Every single thing. Financial policies, agriculture, the economy, healthcare, everything have a problem. National health insurance. No, is that not what we want? We want universal healthcare. Did you all accomplish universal healthcare? No. Well, you have to do this with OKEU and you have to do that. And were you all able to open OKEU? No. Oh, well, fix St. Jude's. You got to do this. There's all these measures in place for you all to get the money and this, that, blah. You were in office when all of those things were available too. Were you able to accomplish it? No.
They
So
have all the numbers in opposition.
yeah,
All the numbers.
you were there to implement your policies, a term of government. But you know what I am observing? That the opposition is very well aware of what's looming on the horizon now in development for St. Lucia. UNORA International Airport project is just about rolling out. It's next month. In the next month, UNORA, a lot of jobs in view for it. Now you see all the propaganda and the half-truths and all the nonsense that's being put out against the government. That can find fertile soil in a lot of the satellites out there because nothing's happening yet. The measures are being placed, just like the SLMDA. The government's working in the background, man, behind the scenes. You have to meet with governments, you have to negotiate loans, you have to negotiate grants. These things going through the process, they take time. You ain't gonna go to the EU tomorrow and come back the following day, with a suitcase full of money.
Yeah, exactly.
It has to go through their own. Look at St. Lucia when you have to go through the civil service to get anything. Register land, do anything. Other countries have their own red tape too. We have to wait. The Taiwanese or the Germans or the British or whoever may agree to give us $10 million, but we have to wait until the next budget cycle, which is not necessarily at the same time as ours.
It's true.
So all of these things, and plus our own little bureaucracy as well. And of course, not forgetting the little plants that are in government to harass and slow down everything that this government does. Let's keep it real around here, right? The little drones that are in government, delaying and misfiling papers and doing all sorts of things to slow down the process.
But I wanted to talk about that one time, but that has to be a really high level of loyalty.
Don't worry, no, it's not. This is not loyalty.
But
this is stupidity and self-sabotage.
Let me say why. Let me explain why it has to be loyalty. Because you know that your people are not in office. They're no longer in the government. They're not running the country.
And the only people who suffer is your own people.
Yeah, but you would still hold back progress because you figure you have an obligation to be loyal to a party that's in opposition. That's how you call it. How you call that?
Stupidity. Yes.
Okay. Sorry,
right?
I didn't want to. I just wanted to put that
so,
in there.
we have all of this going on, and then you wonder, what are we really trying to accomplish? Yes. So, what I feel is that with all the propaganda and the fake news online and on social media, never before have I seen such nonsense. Nonsense, absolute nonsense. And what happens with that is because major projects are not on the ground yet, things are not happening, it's easy for people to believe that nothing's happening, there is corruption and all of this thing going on. But now I feel that this march of shame, of repentance, this march of contrition, act of contrition, is a last-ditch attempt to solidify the last faithful that this government is not working, is not doing anything. Because after that, doesn't matter what propaganda you put out there, you could walk upside down naked in town, that you cannot tell somebody that nothing is happening when they see an airport before their very eyes being built. So there's a desperation now to pile on, and you can see the intensity increasing because new highway, roadworks to the hundreds of millions of dollars, the new airport, the development that are coming with the hotels, the Headquarters Act. Look, you cannot get away from the facts. And like I said, if Allen Chastanet wakes up tomorrow and he said the sky is blue, these guys will say, no, it's purple. But, you know, folks, the numbers don't lie. The facts are the facts. The economy is doing better. Unemployment is down. What else?
Tourism has skyrocketed.
Construction is picking up.
Skyrocketed.
Tourism record numbers. The government is doing so badly.
We have increased of flights coming in.
Increased flights into and out of St. Lucia. American Airlines, JetBlue, United. Additional flights.
Yes, sir.
We have gotten to capacity at Huanora International Airport that it is necessary. It is a must to increase the capacity and to plan further into the future, because even then, by the time it is finished, this government will have brought more flights into St. Lucia. Why do you think, let's be logical. Why do you think these companies are coming to St. Lucia and building new hotels? Do you think that these people with the hundreds of millions of dollars will come to St. Lucia because they see the market dwindling? Because they see that the tourists are not coming? You know what? We have $250 million. Let's go to St. Lucia because we believe that less tourists are going to be coming in the next 2 years.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. We believe that there's not going to be enough water for the hotels, so we're not building. Oh, by the way, SLP, how come you never even started the desilting of the John Compton Dam? What happened over there?
And 10% was taken off for years on our water bills. You remember that?
How come you all were unable to do that even after increasing the water bill by 66%?
And then an additional 10% levy
for the desilting, 10% on people's bills.
Yeah.
Still nothing happened.
Yeah.
What happened to all the money that was in that lockbox? The taxes from Huanora International Airport. How much was it? $50 million?
million.
Where is it?
Yeah,
where the money gone?
Come on, people. You see,
hold on. You all left. Did you all leave that there, or at least more? So even if you discontinued the tax, where the money? So now the government needs to go out and get more money. And by now, if you all had continued with the tax, we would have been at least halfway in the funds to commence the reconstruction of the airport. We would not have had to have gotten all of that money now. But you all did away with it, so where it went?
Yeah.
Did the roads get any better? The money disappeared. Did the schools get any better? The money disappeared.
50 million.
What did we get for the 50 mil that was supposed to have been there for the airport? Where it went to? Nobody knows.
A campaign promise. I remember that well in 2011. We will stop the collection of that money. It goes towards Huanora Airport.
Okay, gentlemen, I see we run out of time. And as I listen to you and Champagne.
But we could go on a little extra because first night of Champagne back, he missed.
No, I don't want to say too much. This is your program. I'm just...
No, but you're back. We have to be... we have to understand that you missed out on a lot. Yeah. So we have to reinitiate you into the scheme of things.
I understand that, but I had to get involved when I heard that ludicrous statement by
listen to me, man. Listen to
let's
me.
Not inter-
you were relaxing for 3 weeks.
I like to sit down and listen and think carefully of what I'm going to say.
Go ahead, brother.
We have a leader of the opposition that has been probably either asleep or left in the dark or locked out of a room somewhere, because he obviously either don't know or
he deliberately pretends
he doesn't know, right? Because he doesn't know anything about Rochamel, About Grindberg, everything was kept. But no fault of his former leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I said former deliberately. He might still be his leader.
Probably.
Right? One has to wonder why the Labour Party was rejected by the electorate. Obviously, the people of St. Lucia, the majority, saw that
they couldn't deliver.
Mm-hmm. Bluffing, giving dates for opening of hospital, the NC affair, the Grindberg affair, so many things has transpired. But let's be real, they will still have some support. There will still be people, regardless of what they have done or what they didn't do, will give them support.
Yep.
So now they've realized that an election is coming.
Which election?
Well, next election in two years or whatever.
3 years.
3 years?
Man. 3
Coming?
years.
Yeah,
what
3
kind
years.
of almanac you have at your
Don't worry. I'm making them feel good. Right? That election is coming. Hey boy, I have to do something as a leader.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's coming from the leader of the opposition. I hope he's leading and he decided to have a march. I'm hoping that, right? Because if somebody forced him to have a march at a time when it's fresh in the air that they could not do and they did not do what they said they were going to do. All people like Alvina Reynolds giving dates, Kenny Anthony giving dates, this one giving dates, and now we know the state of St. Jude. And now we know the state of the country. Mm-hmm. And now we know what happened in Grindberg. And now we know all the things that were under the covers in secret. That not even the cabinet knew.
Imagine.
So they have to try to see what kind of support they're getting in that state.
I could tell you none.
So, but I think that you said it right, Champagne. St. Lucia has changed a lot.
A lot.
And the politicians better wake up and smell the coffee. They're not as dumb as they used to be.
Yeah. Or they think they used to be.
And I say that not to say anybody is dumb because it's a matter of speech.
Right.
People have more information now coming out. This radio station, for example, with this program, is giving information because when you hear Ernest Hilaire coming out and flagging a piece of paper and not explain to the people that they may at least have part to play in the situation with regards to the lands, and make it look as though they're clean as a whistle.
Yeah.
You know? And then we come out to this information now. It shows that these politicians or so-called politicians, and when you remember the visa situation and how many 2 billion people from China will come to St. Lucia, who are they bluffing? They're so bright. They stand up in Parliament with their 3-piece suit, their 2-piece suit, and they tie like
half
cheese monkeys.
And
they make... Who are they listening to? They're still talking to the people who are either not thinking seriously about these guys standing up trying to bluff them.
Yeah.
You know?
But let me tell you something before you go ahead there.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all, whatever goes on in the house, who's visiting, who's in the gallery, who's there's only one distinct individual. There's only one bow tie in there.
Oh, yes.
One bow tie.
And that's you.
One bow tie.
Mm.
They've called me lots of names. The bow tie man. The bow tie bandit. But there's one distinguished gentleman in there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, okay?
So we have to understand this, and when I sit and I listen to these things, I wonder that some people believe that they're so bright that they do not understand that what coming out of their mouth doesn't match the title that's given to them, because you think, even Dr. Kenny Anthony, I remember clearly when he said the election will be the SLP versus the Chastanet. That is the most damning statement a prime minister could ever make.
Against the Chastanet.
You know, seriously, if you take that statement, and And you know what made it worse? He said later on, he'll say it again.
Yeah.
So he showed that he can say what he wants and do what he wants.
But hold on. I think you're leaving out a very important part.
I left some gaps for you.
Of the equation, right? And that is that the people of St. Lucia ultimately will be the final say, regardless of what nonsense people talk,
That's right.
how they try to mama guy. And obviously, from the moment Allen Chastanet, St. Lucia's current prime minister, announced that he was throwing his hat in the ring, not even to elective politics, just to the internal affairs of the United Workers' Party. He was targeted.
Yep.
I am
right?
getting to that.
But hold on. You get into it.
It's your program.
You left.
Yeah,
No. It's not a matter of program. You said you left a gap for me. I'm moving on the gap.
You're filling that gap.
I'm filling that gap.
Okay.
Right? With all of that, when Allen Chastanet was elected through a free and fair process within the structure and according to the laws and the guidelines, Constitution of the United Workers' Party, 3 years ago, 2013, 5 years ago, right? I think it was the 26th of July, something like that.
2013.
5 years ago. From that moment, he was marked by the SLP because they made it very public. It wasn't hidden. And with all of the sustained pressure, with everything pointing at him, with the declaration of war against him by the SLP, with all the propaganda, with all the lies, with all the half-truths, with all the subterfuges, with everything they could muster, they still lost. They still lost. So does that say something about Allen Chastanet and the person that he is? And does it say something about the St. Lucian people not being tolerant of the nonsense anymore?
All the noises continue to go.
Thank you for calling Keeping It Real. You're on the air.
Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Can you turn down the volume on your radio a bit?
My radio is not on.
It's not on. Okay.
No, I don't use radio.
He uses his
my
phone.
device.
All right.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
Better now?
Yeah, you're all right. Go ahead.
Okay, Champagne, welcome back, man.
Thank you, my brother. Thank
Mr. Williams, you okay?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Okay, don't jump the fence.
I'm here.
Okay, all right, everybody present. You know, I've been listening to you all for the longest while. Now, I am about to sign up from my vehicle.
Okay.
So I say, let me put on my voice. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir.
What I noticed from the Labour Party, the very same thing that they could not have done in the entire term, that is what they want the United Workers' Party to do in a year, or in 6 months, or in 2 years.
Yeah.
This is exactly what's going on. And everything, even if the Prime Minister tells somebody good morning, they have to oppose it and say, well, it is pretty close to lunchtime. Why is it a good morning?
That's right. That's right. You ain't lying.
I'm telling you.
Yes.
That's a good way to put it.
There are a lot of things that went wrong in the Labour Party during their reign in office. And it appears to be right. You understand? Because they have some supporters there that the propaganda machine can twist and turn things around.
According to what they used to say a long time ago, kakaganda.
Yes. Now, I am telling you, say to the Prime Minister, even if he's listening or not, tell him, I say, do not worry about the Labour Party. Continue to do the work that we put him there to do. Because if they were doing well enough, I don't think that they were going to be out of office.
That's for sure.
And I want to send a message to the Labour Party and all the supporters. They are not the one that is governing the
country.
The country. Even if sometimes you have to listen to the people, but the people are not the one that telling the government what to do. You understand? There are things to be done. The government have to go out there and look for finance to build the roads and to do this and that and the other. You expect that every time the government come back, he have to come and tell you, look, I get 5 million there, look, I get 50 million there. When Kenyan Tony wasn't telling people anything. He was on his own business.
Yep.
Right now, I am telling the Prime Minister and in fact the government, concentrate on the things that they have to do for the country, because when you have 3 years, 3.5 years, St. Lucian will say that because election is coming, that is the time that they want to vote. And they are opposing everything. So you have a very good program, and there are a lot of people that are already encouraged to listen to the program, and they called me tonight and asked me if I am not calling to say anything because they are listening to the program. And it is very, there's a guy who called from Beaufort. I think one of these days you should have him in the show. It is very, make note about what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about. Okay?
Okay.
So you all are doing great, and you have a lot of St. Lucians, even if they're not calling.
Yeah, they're listening. They listen. We know they're listening.
You are educating them.
Yes, of course.
Now, one thing I am telling you all, there are some people that are calling just to try and hold the line.
Yeah.
To prevent from other people. And I don't want to say nonsense about anything. When something is not making sense to me, is nonsense.
Yeah.
They want to twist and turn everybody and twist and turn all around. And whereas they know for a fact that things are happening in St. Lucia. That is why the last time I said, you all need to take those people on a tour. Take them on a tour, bright daylight, so they can see what is happening around St. Lucia. Have a good evening, my brother.
Thank you very much for that contribution. So
we'll see you on
Thank you
Thursday,
very
my
much.
brother.
Now you are still my deputy, you know.
And
No. You have lost that chair.
and don't jump the fence.
We'll
okay?
talk.
All right.
We'll talk.
Okay.
Okay. So we're just about the end of overtime, and we're gonna go into the keeping it real final thoughts. And I call that hypocrites. We lose our trustworthiness when we hide behind rhetoric and encourage political tribalism. We lose our compassion when every word spoken is with some insinuation of violence. We lose all credibility when we demand that others do what we ourselves fail to do. We lose all sensibility when we constantly criticize only to cause interference. We lose all respect when we demand from others what we fail to give in return. We lose all admiration when all we do is lie, character assassinate, and demonize others. We lose all moral authority when our own actions lack any morality. We cannot demand accountability when our very actions defy accountability. We lose our true humanity when all we do is act like devils. It is all well and good to preach and insist that others be held to a higher standard, but when we fail to live by our own advice, when we are even more deserving of the admonishing we pile on others, and when we demand that others do as we say, but not as we do, it makes us nothing less than true, unadulterated hypocrites. Who the cap fit, let them wear it. I'm Norbert Williams, and this was Keeping It Real. Good night.